The following program contains names, places, and events that have been anonymized or fictionalized for the purposes of protection and safety. The following program is provided for entertainment purposes only, and any commentary from the hosts are strictly conjecture and should not be held as making any definitive statements about the truth or identity of any particular individuals or circumstances. If you or a loved one are involved in an abusive relationship, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 for support.
Happy Monday, National Holiday Dating Detectives Day.
Dating Detectives Day. How's everybody doing?
I love Mondays. I love that everyone is so excited for Mondays because they get to hear the latest story that we have, which we're always excited to share. Thank you guys for being here.
Our guest today, her name is Jade. We love her.
I love that name
too.
too.
This is oh yeah. Well, it is an anonymous name. We anonymize everything if you're thinking about submitting, but we pick cute anonymized names.
Yes.
No, this story, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but it is definitely a case of someone is a dogfish that is a massive professional betrayal as well as personal. It's if you think about professional people that are in your life, it's one of the worst possible positions that someone can hold if they dogfish you. That didn't make a lot of sense, but you'll get it at the end.
Yeah. And in regards to that, there's an episode on our sister podcast, The Medical Detectives.
Mackenzie.
What?
Tell someone if they don't know what The Medical Detectives is.
The Medical Detectives is basically kind of like the Dating Detectives, but on the medical scale.
It's not so much always dogfish, but it's misdiagnosis. It's
medical professionals.
It's hosted by orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Erin Nance, who's awesome and just wrote a book. And then the content creator, Anna O'Brien, who I followed before she even started doing this.
Her so
I know.
Much.
It's all about strange, surprising medical tales from similar to us, the people who went through them. So
yeah, so you'll really like that.
You should listen.
So that's what it reminds me of. But this case is kind of wild because it's just so, like Hannah said, there's people in our lives that are in these professional positions, and it's like when it crosses into something it shouldn't, what do you do? And it's really interesting. You're going to love Jade so much.
There is some postpartum depression discussed. I don't think there's anything else super triggering, but that is something to be aware of. Mm-hmm. And what else? Quick updates. Thank you to everyone who came to the latest self-defense workshop in Santa Monica. I hope we can bring it elsewhere. I know some of you have talked about wanting us to do self-defense in other cities, and that's on the vision board.
We're going to take it on the road.
We're going to take it on the road. But thank you to Bree. Self-defense with Bree is the woman who instructs it, and she's badass. And then thank you to the people who came and the brands who sent products. And I want to shout out Choose Joy Magnets is a company by one of the sleuthies who came to the show. And she made, I know it's a podcast, you guys can't see, but she made custom magnets of us.
What a cute name. Choose Joy Magnets. I love that.
So she has a little business if you guys want to go get some magnets.
Check really it cool. out. Yeah, that's adorable. I'm loving that.
And with that, I think we're ready to hand it to Jade.
Yeah, let's meet Jade. Let's get into it. Jade, thank you for being here. Will you please share your story with us? Go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jade. I'm a 30-year-old single mom of 2 little boys. I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old. I have my bachelor's in psychology and dance. That was my original path, but then life happened, things changed. I ended up getting pregnant and having to get a different job instead of continuing my education. And that is where I met Sarah. So Sarah and I were kind of friends. I mean, we were friends. We weren't super close before I was pregnant. And then when I was pregnant, we were friends throughout my pregnancy. And they actually, I guess, expressed their feelings for me kind of a couple times throughout my pregnancy. And I just kind of would push them away gently and just say, hey, obviously I have a lot going on right now. You know, I'm not in any position or place to be with anybody. This is something I need to do by myself.
I have a question. Sorry. I'm bi, and coming out was weird. I cannot imagine getting pregnant and then I don't know I'm just curious, where were you in that journey? Were you like, oh my God, a girl is flirting with me?
No, so
Ew.
I'd been with women before, so I don't know, I never really like classified myself as anything, but I guess textbook wise that would be considered bisexual.
No, you don't have to.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess a little bit of background about being pregnant with my first. It was unplanned, and it wasn't somebody that I was in a long-term relationship with. And I didn't have feelings for Sarah at first. Like, we were just good friends. And I just was not in a place where I wanted to be in a relationship or that I had feelings for
Totally.
Sarah. But Sarah was a really good friend to me throughout the pregnancy. And then even when I had my baby, Sarah was there, supportive, and actually took on kind of a caretaking role when I went back to work at about 4 months postpartum. My mom and Sarah would kind of both partner and take turns in taking care of the child while I was at work, because Sarah and I worked opposite schedules. And we just got really close really fast, to the point where even I had family that would kind of inadvertently, and friends, ask me, like, is there something more going on here? And Sarah and I had the conversation, more so Sarah telling me a couple more times how they felt about me. And I'd still told them, like, hey, I'm freshly postpartum. I just feel like I need to not jump into
This is
anything.
not the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just not be something not legit.
Tell us more about Sarah. What was your first interaction? Was she like?
Yeah, so I guess the first interaction that I had with Sarah, it was at work. And they approached me at work one day and started telling me about their girl issues. Because this is where it gets a little messy, and you could appreciate this probably. Sarah was currently being broken up with, or like having issues with, a woman that I dated first, who also worked there. So it was like a weird
I wish I
little,
could say I was surprised.
yeah, no, it was a weird little triangle. But I guess she thought, oh, you know her, she knows you, like, you could give me insight. So she just came in and kind of like vented to me about what was happening in that situation. And I honestly don't remember what I said, other than we kind of found out that maybe our timelines had overlapped a little bit, when I was dating this person versus when she was dating this person. And we were like, oh man.
Ooh.
But that's kind of the first interaction we had, and nothing really happened after that. I don't think. Then we just kind of continued to talk and hang out as friends within like the same friend group. I do remember this one time we all went to the movies together with the friends from work. And it was kind of funny, because I was walking into like the movie aisle, and two people, like Sarah and another person, switched places so Sarah could sit next to me. And I was like, huh. Like, I didn't know at this point how she felt about me. And then there was another time where we went out for drinks. And at this point, I knew that I was pregnant, so I wasn't drinking. But Sarah was off the rails, already drunk. And we were on the dance floor, and we went to dance, and she like went in to kiss me. And I had to be like, whoa. But that night, that was the first night that, I don't even say it was like close, but like we got closer-ish, physically, definitely. And then the next day, I came out of work to a card and a bouquet of flowers on my car.
Oh,
That
okay.
said, I'm sorry, or thank you for taking care of me, or something. Because she puked in my car too, and she got it like all
Oh
the
no.
chunks of my window.
Oh
And
no.
Oh, the least she could do is get you some flowers.
yeah,
Oy.
yeah. I thought it was nice. So I guess that's where our friendship first kind of like started and blossomed. So then on to, I guess, this 6-month-ish mark, there have been a couple times where Sarah had expressed their feelings towards me. And I mean, to the point where I was telling them, like, hey, I know you all feel like this other person, like, go pursue them, And then around that 6-month mark, like, it was one day when I even had my mom approach me and was like, hey, Sarah treats you and your son really well. They're really good to you. And I don't know exactly what the word she said was, but she was basically letting me know that she wanted me to know she would be okay if it was something more, right? And it wasn't until then that I actually thought about there being something more.
That's sweet. But also, I'm imagining, like, when your mom comes in with that kind of opinion, it can carry weight.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, especially, I don't know, you're still postpartum. Postpartum lasts a long time. And so I do see this person who is taking care of.
And that can affect your reactions, your responses, your hormone, a lot, all of it. It's
But that's
crazy.
exactly what I wanted to avoid, is not making a decision based on how I was feeling in the moment. I wanted it to be a legitimate decision, not based on like temporary feelings that I was having. Because how easy can you attach to somebody when you're postpartum and you're lonely? I was alone. I guess I should say that the father of my child was not involved when I told them that I was keeping the baby. Like, I went through pregnancy alone.
Oh, like he was like, nope, not interested.
Not interested. So he wasn't involved in the situation.
Man.
Or the pregnancy, birth, still has never met the child. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're strong. The fact that you were like, I know that I'm in a vulnerable position and don't want to put myself in the place of maybe being taken advantage of or making the wrong decision. Like, that's wise beyond your years.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But it got me. It got me at some point. So Sarah was definitely like, a very present person in my life. I know my sister, in talking to her recently, she would be like, no, like there was no way that you wouldn't have fallen in love with her at some point in time because she was at your house every freaking day. Like, no matter how many times you said no, she chased me for like 8 months. And no matter how many
Wow.
times I said no, she didn't go anywhere. She stayed there and not necessarily broke me down, but kind of broke me down. So there was this one day where I was going to take family pictures with me and my boy it was like fall pictures. And Sarah came along because it was Sarah's birthday and we were going out that night afterwards. But Sarah came along with the pictures and the photographer, I guess, assumed like we weren't a family unit, but Sarah was with us. And this photographer at some point asked us all to take a picture together. And we did. And I think kind of from that night is where we just fell into the whole relationship itself. I mean, we had clarifying conversations afterward, but that's kind of like where it first was solidified. Like, okay, we have this family unit and we're taking pictures together. And then I don't remember exactly how and when the conversation after that happened, but of course we had clarifying conversations about, okay, well, like, what's our date that we started dating? Like, what's our anniversary date and that type of thing. But then from there on, we kind of just spent every single day as much as possible together. We took a family vacation, air quotes, to the mountains. And it was great. We had so much fun. We stayed in a little cabin in the woods. My son was learning to walk. We had his walker there. So it was like a cute little, I don't know, it'd be the
Aww.
best little situation to make like a home movie in a cabin in the woods. It was awesome. There was one night where it always sounds like such a bad thing when you say it, but I went through or saw something on her laptop in terms of messages. Backtrack a little bit. Sarah was always super secretive with everything, like phone always face down, always on do not disturb whenever around, like just very secretive, right? And I don't remember how honest it doesn't. I feel like I'm trying to make it sound better. I don't think I was looking through her laptop intentionally. I think I was using it for something, neither here nor there. But I saw messages from the person that I was encouraging her to date while I was pushing her away, right?
Oh,
And
so you knew exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and so the messages weren't like current in terms of them currently talking, but it was like 2 weeks prior, maybe 3 weeks prior or something before we officially started dating. And it was like professing undying love for like full middle name. I love you so much. I want to marry you. I want to have kids with
Wow.
you, everything like that. Right. And so, of course, I had that kind of reaction because, like, you're saying all this to me now, but like a month ago or however long ago it's to somebody else. How do I know it's legit? And I remember calling my sister and I'll kick myself to this day for it. I called my sister and told her about it, and she was like, "Jade, it's only gonna happen again. Like, once it happens once, it just will continue to happen." And, like, she basically had that conversation of,
Oh,
like, it's so soon enough in your relationship now that you just need to decide which direction you're gonna go. Well, silly me, I was like, "Well, she didn't cheat on me." So I went the other direction and was like, "All right, we'll get over it."
did you talk to Sarah about it?
Oh, we had a big blow up fight about it. She was
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah.
They were like, "Don't go through my laptop." Did they
That was the
gaslight
biggest
you?
thing, like,
Yeah.
"Why were you looking at my stuff?" But then it was like, that was before, it's not now, and it was very much so I remember it being more so like they were hurt than me, which is funny because
Yeah.
every fight after that didn't happen that way, like, they were sobbing the entire car ride home from Tennessee, and I was just kinda, like, stone-faced, and I dropped them off, and we didn't talk for a couple of days.
Y'all, I am 41 years old and I am kind of within the last couple of years just realizing the mistakes I made in college, thinking that credit cards were just like some kind of magical money. So if I had to tell my younger self about credit, it would be, if I could go back, like hindsight's always 2020. I wish I knew then what I know now, but I would like to introduce you to Ava. So Ava is a credit building app that makes it so easy to improve your credit fast so you can get better rates on loans, pay off debt faster, and keep more money in your pocket. And again, in college, I thought credit cards were magical money. And for the longest time, could not get my credit under control. Since then, I have, and I'm really proud of myself. But if you're in that position, do it probably quicker than I did. And see your credit go up in less than a week, like most members. So getting something like a secured card can take months, but you can be approved for Ava in like 5 minutes, get credit up to $2,500 to pay for existing bills, subscriptions automatically with no credit check, no interest, and no hidden fees. It's just an easy tool that kind of helps build your credit behind the scenes. And the way Ava does that is they report your on-time payments to all the major credit bureaus every single day. So they help you build solid credit history quickly. And the longer you stick with Ava, the higher your score can go. Take control of your credit right now. Download the Ava app. It's spelled AVA today. And when you join using our promo code DATING, your first month is totally free. Get the Ava app, use my promo code DATING so they know you heard it from us, and get your first month with Ava free. That's promo code DATING. Thanks to Ava. And now go get yourself good credit.
I am so excited to tell you about the sous vide kitchen robot because it's a mind-blowing kitchen device that I honestly am like, where has this been all my life? So it's a really amazing countertop oven that has a lot of different options, air fryer, whatever kind of cooking you want to do. But the thing that sets it apart for me is that it has built-in refrigeration. So you can set up dinner in the morning before you go to work. You can put all the ingredients you want to cook in there. It will keep them refrigerated. And then you can use their app to tell it what time you want dinner to be ready. And then it cooks it so that when you walk in the door, it's ready. You don't even have to be at home to start it. It's actually kind of crazy. It's got tap to cook technology. So like I said, you prep for a couple minutes, load the meals, and then you use the app to tell it what you want. You can even do meal delivery with sous vide. They have meals that they will deliver to you. And then it's very easy to use the app. And you literally like scan the meal card. It has like the recipe and a little QR code. You scan it on the device and it's like, I got it from here. Say less. I know what to do. And it does the right timing, the right temperature, everything. You can choose from over 50 meals with new options added each week. But of course, if you just want the device, you can do that too. You can pick those meals, how many you get, how often they arrive. So it's kind of the combined perfect solution to saving you time to eat in a way that eats healthy and yummy. It's actually so good. I made salmon with it this week. My roommate, let me tell you, when I got this, my roommate was like groveling. He was so excited. And we were so excited because there's so many different ways to use it. And we like to experiment in ways that also allows us to be a little lazy. I'm not going to lie. We're not big chefs, but we also enjoy fun, creative meals. So you don't have to spend hours in the kitchen or a fortune on takeout and delivery because sous vide is the simple solution that takes all the stress out of planning dinner. Sous vide offers a 100-day risk-free trial, so you should just give it a try. Go to sousvide.com/dating detectives to get 16 free meals when you order. That's SUVIE.com/dating detectives to get 16 free meals with your risk-free trial. Sous vide is better than takeout with wholesome, home-cooked meals at an everyday price. It's really fun, it's really easy, and it's really cool. It's a kitchen robot, so let me know if you try it.
So that vacation ended kind of poorly, and I don't remember exactly how we came back together or how we started talking again. Obviously, there was a big apology, and with every apology would always be like, it'll never happen again. I'm going to fix this.
Oh, of
I'm
course.
going to make us right. I'm going to do whatever I can, that type of thing. And so we moved in together probably pretty quickly. It didn't feel like it was quickly, though, but I guess because we had been friends for so long and because we just rushed really fast into like the family dynamic. So we moved in June of that year into our first house together.
So
and that was exactly how long after y'all had been together?
5-6 months. And also
we're
because
just like
I was living in my parents' house with my son, So
Yeah.
like it was good for everybody to be out of my
Right.
parents' house. It seemed like the right thing to do at the right time. And throughout the entire beginning of the relationship, maybe like the first whole year, it was great. It was your classic textbook love bombing. I got flowers and cards often. And it's hard to see love bombing when you're in it because of course I wanted to like give gifts and, do things that were sweet and nice too.
But then as we got more into the relationship, we started fighting more.
It was mainly over like attention. I wanted attention. I wanted more attention. We fought a lot about me wanting more attention just because it's like I got so much in the beginning, especially that first year. And then it just kind of got cut off. Maybe not cut off.
Well,
but
because that's
definitely
the
dialed down.
expectation that has been set for you. So then when it
Yeah.
goes away, you're like, wait, give it back.
And what did I do wrong? Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I would do. I would be like, wait,
Don't you
you
love
don't love
me?
me
Why
anymore.
yeah, exactly.
And that's the thought process is like, hey, is there like, do you feel differently about me? And I would always be reassured that they didn't. It just either work or I'm tired or I don't know, I'm just not in the mood or just different things. And I remember having internal conversations of like, is this what I want long term? Like, can I do this long term? And I was like, no, like you have your 80/20. You deal with the things that you don't like because you choose a person. So after that, we went to couples counseling and the counseling worked. I thought it worked. But what it did was it also brought down like the turbulence. We didn't have as much fighting. And so then the next interesting or big life event was we went on a cruise together and that's where she proposed to me. You want romance. That was very nice, right? I had no idea that it was happening. She had booked me a manicure, pedicure appointment and a hair appointment on the cruise without me knowing, took me up there, got me pampered. And I was like, oh, this is such a nice surprise. And we went to like the nice formal dinner that evening and we went on the fancy staircase where they take your picture and they're telling me how to pose. And I turn around and there she is with the ring and everybody's, what is it? Like
That's
clapping,
really
cheering,
cute.
and then the next 2 days, everybody's stopping us on the cruise, like, oh my gosh, congratulations.
You're
I was
Aw.
like
on cloud nine.
celebrities.
Yeah, it was great.
No,
It
that
was
is
really
good
cool.
to share because people often come out of these episodes like, well, they were awful. And we don't always have time to share the parts that they weren't
Right.
awful
Yeah.
in. And it's
Yeah,
important to
that's
remember
true.
that, these
Yeah.
people
No, she
know
definitely
how
knew how
to
to,
be amazing for a lot of the time.
absolutely. Definitely had a lot of romantic things there. It was really just like I would say a lot of it was good when it came to like things that could be outwardly seen. It was like the intimate
Oh.
behind closed doors stuff that was a little more difficult sometimes. So fast forward, we're engaged. Son is 2 years old. She wants to move. And while we're searching for a house, we look at things that's like more out of our current budget. And she's like, well, why don't we just go get courthouse married so that we can be on, I'm a veteran, so that we could be on your veteran loan together. And that way we could both have the title of the house and it could be in both of our names. So we went and got courthouse married so that we could afford this house and be on the loan together. And it was kind of, it was a dream house. We loved it. And then maybe 3 or 4 months into that house, we got pregnant. We had been talking about having another baby probably for about a year. And by talking about, I would say that like from the beginning, Sarah had told me that they wanted to have a baby with me. And that was all fine and dandy, but I was definitely not ready to have another kid yet. I did
Yeah.
always want my son to have a sibling though. So it was something that I definitely wanted in the future.
Can I ask, with same-sex relationships, when you have a baby, how do you determine how that's going to happen? Like, do you guys have a talk together about, oh, we're going to find a sperm donor or someone we know? And was that a problematic conversation or was that easy for you guys to decide on together?
Yeah, so it wasn't problematic at all. It's all about like what your preference is. And there's so many different avenues that you can take. So the first avenue that we actually went through was what's called Just a Baby. It's an app where people actually sign up to be donors for people who cannot have children.
Wow.
There's no payment or anything. They literally, it's like you create a dating profile almost and you try to match with people. And they
Oh my
literally will
gosh, I
just
did not know
provide.
that
That's
existed.
amazing.
Yeah, it's called Just a Baby.
Just a
Link it if you
Baby?
want. Yeah.
And did you have a good experience on it before we start telling people to use it?
Yes and no. The app was great itself. It's very user friendly. And we met with 2 different people. Like we just met at a coffee shop. Nothing went forward with those 2. So then we found one person that we met with and we liked and we tried with him a couple times and it was unsuccessful. So then we went to the completely like medical route where we bought sperm online from a sperm bank and went to a medical clinic and they inseminated it for me. And I got pregnant on my first try.
Wow. Okay. Well, congratulations. Like that. But when you're trying to get pregnant, like I had to try to get pregnant because my ovulation was all wacky, whatever. That's a struggle in itself. And like, you're like, is this going to happen for us? And like, you really don't know. So when that happens, I imagine, were you both super happy and everything was fine? Like you were both really excited about that?
Yeah, we were definitely very excited. There was like a little bit of stress in the waiting period of figuring out if we were pregnant because I was clocked 24/7. Well, do you feel pregnant? How do you feel? Tell
Do
me
you
what you're
feel
feeling.
pregnant?
What are you thinking? What symptoms are you
Yeah.
having? Have you tested yet? And I'm like I feel like I am a machine right now who needs to be like known. I promise I'll let you know when my nipples feel funny. Just give me a minute. Like so
For sure.
yeah. But so yes, we were both very happy when we found out. And at the beginning, man, being pregnant was great with Sarah. I was getting like some massages and some home cooked meals, and there was a lot more attention, a lot more attentiveness in the beginning. And then I found out I had gestational diabetes, and there was a huge effort of making me healthy meals for the gestational diabetes and was like rubbing coconut oil on my belly. So being pregnant, going through pregnancy was great. When we found out we were pregnant, I had seen Dr. Bass once or twice when I was pregnant with my first son. And I remember liking her a lot. Super friendly, super energetic. And for some reason, I thought in my mind that she herself was a wife and had a child with a woman. And I was like, oh, an ally for us. That'd be great. Someone who would like, be a good advocate for
Yeah.
me
Okay.
and
Yes.
our baby. So we sought her out. She was a highly sought out doctor, had great reviews. And we actually ended up asking her during one of our appointments. I forgot how it came up, but after we'd seen her a couple times and gotten to know her, we were like, I can't tell if she is gay or not, or looking at her social media if she did have a family. So we felt comfortable enough asking her if she was during one of her appointments. And she was like, oh, absolutely not. I could never be gay. That's my sister. I know too much about vaginas. And if I were gay, then I just have to be a pillow princess or something along those lines.
A pillow
Yeah.
Funny, but also like kind of, I don't know. I feel like that's weird to say.
Overall, she was great. I mean, we felt super comfortable. I felt very seen and advocated for, especially when it came to the gestational diabetes diagnosis and her support with that. And then finding out that our son had a congenital heart defect.
Oh, no.
Yeah. They were able to see that in utero through an ultrasound during the pregnancy.
Really? Oh, wow. That must have been hard.
They couldn't tell the full extent, but they knew that there was a possibility that we'd have to have some sort of surgery. But yeah, we felt super like trusting in her, very open. There was actually one appointment where Sarah asked Dr. Bass if they could officiate our wedding. We had gotten legally married at the courthouse, but our wedding was set to take place in September. Like everything was jam-packed. We moved in June or July, legally married in March, moved in June or July, got pregnant in September, having a baby in June. We're going to get married in September. Like it just was very jam-packed.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had a couple of
How
friends who told me
involved
that
were
I was crazy, but I was like, I'm all in if she's all in.
How about your families? Were they both still very involved?
Yeah, and very supportive, very involved, very supportive. I will tell you that my sister is the one person who looks back at it now and she's like, you were not ready to have that baby. You looked at me like you were terrified to have that baby and you were peer pressured into it. And I was like, I mean, yeah, I was definitely scared, but I felt like I had someone to fall into, I felt like I had a partner in it. So, but our relationship with Dr. Bass was great. Like I said, my wife, Sarah, asked her to officiate our wedding. Thankfully, they were not able to. They were not in town the week of our wedding. And that was one of those things where I just kind of went along with. There were a lot of things with Sarah that I just went along with because I think we had those relationship roles where she definitely took the lead. And even if I didn't want her to, she was the one who took the lead. But I kind of fell into it most of the time. But fast forward to kind of the end of the pregnancy where it was the appointment before my scheduled C-section. And Dr. Bass approached both of us and was like, I really like you guys. I want to be your friends. And so Sarah was like, well, how would that work? With your job, wouldn't you get in trouble? And she was like, oh, we just have to be really careful. And, worst case scenario, I get a slap on the wrist. And so we were like, okay, I mean, we like you too. We think it'd be cool. And that day she also added me on Instagram. And so from then it was kind of one of those things where like, you know how or like you notice things where it seemed like Sarah was a lot more interested in stalking their social media or seeing if they had seen our social media posts or that type of thing, responding to their social media posts.
Just to clarify, so this is when you're still pregnant. You're not out of that yet. Okay, because I was like, doctors and patients could theoretically become friends, but I guess while you're in the middle of treatment with them, it's murky.
Yeah, it's iffy, right?
Yeah. And I'll explain, I guess, more details about that too.
This episode is sponsored by Delete Me. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. And I'm very happy to say that we've been able to help some of our past guests use Delete Me to protect themselves from stalking or online harassment. It's a really cool resource. Mackenzie, as a PI, you definitely know how valuable it is.
Oh, yeah. And that's why I'm glad that the podcast I didn't know about Delete Me before the podcast, and I'm really glad to find out more about it. So just to give you a little peek into like the PI world, when I'm working a case, I go onto the Google machine and I want to type this person's name. And that's the first place I go is the free public, just whatever Google machine, the www. I go there, type in their name and see what I can find. And usually when you do that, the things that pop up are different websites, and those are data brokers, and they make a profit off of your data because your data is a commodity. So anyone on the web can go click on one of those links, and then this data broker will say, hey, I'll charge you this much money to get this information. So the data brokers make it easy for people to get your information, which can lead to the identity theft and the harassment, things like that. But now you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. So data brokers have your name, contact info, social security number, home address, information about your family members. All of that is compiled by data brokers and sold online, right? So help yourself by signing up for Delete Me. It's a subscription service that provides you monthly reports, and you tell them what you want deleted, and they find the information and they send you a report of what they've deleted each month. So you just allow Delete Me to do the hard work, and they help you to take control of your data. So,
and we're not saying this is going to be like delete your Instagram. It's not that. It's about the stuff that you don't know is out there, the personal information that you might not realize.
You don't realize how easy it is to get, like all your private details. Anyways, take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. I use it myself, and it's now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/datingdetectives and use promo code TDD at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is go to joindeleteme.com/datingdetectives and enter code TDD at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/datingdetectives, code TDD. This is an ad by BetterHelp. Okay, Hannah.
Yes.
Do you agree that we need to normalize mental health?
Duh. Yeah. 100p.
100p. So I feel like, and tell me what you think, I feel like there's a stigma behind like mental health and counseling and things like that, kind of keep people from seeking therapy, right?
Yes.
Do you agree?
And I think we don't realize that stigma is still there because it's common on social media and podcasts to talk about mental health in a way that's like, oh, we've made progress, which we have. But I think we can all point to people in our social life who are like, yeah, mental health is real. But then behind the scenes, they don't want to go to therapy because it feels vulnerable or shameful, or I don't know, people just don't think that it's necessary.
Yeah. And that's a good point too. You don't think it's necessary because a lot of people think, well, I haven't been through trauma. And just to give you a little bit of personal, I'm going to get a little vulnerable with you as someone who I just turned 41 years old, and I've been overweight my whole life. And so I've been on this weight loss journey, and I had gastric sleeve surgery to lose weight. But what I didn't realize was that my relationship with food had to do with my mental health and trauma and things like that. So when I sought therapy through BetterHelp, I was given tools and resources to help me kind of navigate through the trauma and my experiences with my relationship with food, but using trusted resources that BetterHelp offers, and talking to live therapists can get you personalized recommendations and help you break through that noise. For me, it was food noise, and it has really, really helped along with my weight loss journey, diet and exercise, things like that, obviously. But this has been the mental aspect that I think a lot of people don't talk about, especially for me, for instance, when it comes to weight loss.
Yeah. How has BetterHelp worked with your schedule? Because I know somebody who wanted to go to therapy but never did because it just didn't work with their schedule. And BetterHelp is the only thing that got them there. And it's been game changing because it was somebody that I was like, they're never going to go. Like we had given up hope.
No, it's true. And I live in the Tampa area, and anywhere you go takes 30 minutes. So you're taking 2-3 hours out of your day just to go to an appointment, come back, wait, and then you got to sign in, all this. BetterHelp makes it easy because it's the largest online therapy provider in the world with over 30,000 therapists. And it's just so convenient. You join a session with a therapist at the click of a button, and you can text them, which is amazing because I'm a texter. Please don't ever call me, ever, never. And it can help you fit therapy into your busy life. You can switch therapists at any time. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/TDD. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/TDD.
So then, not really any communication with Dr. Bass until our scheduled C-section day. which everything went really as good as planned. I did feel some type of way, I guess. So like the C-section had been performed and I'm laying there cut open on the table while, I hear my baby crying and Dr. Bass is holding my baby and Sarah's taking a picture of them together. And I hear Dr. Bass say, "Oh, that's cute. Send that to me." And that's when they first exchanged numbers, over my blade open body that just
Oh,
delivered. And so that was
wow.
kind of weird. But at the same time, I didn't think much of it because our son also had to go to the NICU. And so like I wasn't able to hold him. There were people like around trying to figure out what was going on. So
That must have been so scary for you, like just a lot going on at one time.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and your priorities are definitely like that. You're not
Yeah.
thinking about
Yeah, 100%.
anything.
100%. And so we went to our room. Son was in the NICU for 2 days. And then once we finally got him, it's funny because throughout the hospital stay, it was probably 4 days total. Sarah was posting Instagram reels of me like doing different pregnancy things. And it's just another one of those things where, like she didn't really post me normally, or she didn't really post videos of me. Like it was out of character behavior because she wanted Dr. Bass to see her post or whatever, or comment on her post about
Totally.
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was interesting. And she did. She commented on every one or like swiped up and had a conversation on every one of them.
So in the moment though, so we know in hindsight, but how did you feel in the moment when she started posting a video of you?
Yeah.
I knew when we were in the hospital, I was like, oh, she really wants to get her attention. And I honestly thought, I don't know, I feel like I had a gut feeling, but I just had this thought process in my head that like we just had a baby together. She would never, I trusted her because the year-long pregnancy that we had the best, most stable year that we've had so far. I trusted her with everything. I really did. I did not think that there was literally a single possible way that anything would have happened to our family. So in the hospital, I will say that Sarah was very attentive, and Sarah is always there if you need something, has always been there if you need something. It's always like the emotional support that's been a little lacking, or at least after that honeymoon phase, right? So in the hospital, it felt very emotionally distant, I would say. And I, in the moment, didn't really think much of it. And by emotionally distant, I just mean like Sarah was doing all the things in terms of like taking care of the baby or me if I needed something, but like there wasn't a lot of affection. We didn't even get a picture of all three of us together, like me, the baby, and Sarah. We don't have a family
Really?
picture. Yeah, we don't have, there's no pictures of us together in the hospital having our baby.
Wow.
And then when we got home, it was kind of similar in that it almost felt like they like needed space after being in the hospital for so long. And I get it. Like Sarah's very antsy, can't sit still for long, is an active person, got to go and do. And like as soon as she got home, I think she went to cut the grass or something. But it was hard because I definitely felt like emotionally alone at home too. Like it felt like, okay, now that we're at home, you didn't really have to take care of me anymore. Like I remember at nighttime, we put the bassinet on Sarah's side of the bed because I had a C-section and I couldn't really get up and down out of the bed very easily. But I even said, hey, I'll take the night shift. I have to nurse anyways. So just wake him up and hand him to me. And that was what it was. Like he woke up, she rolled over, handed him to me and went back to sleep. And that continued throughout, really throughout the entire time, which I didn't have a problem with it because I volunteered, but it was just very, I don't know.
You felt
I
alone.
felt alone and I didn't really know it at the time. Yeah. So fast forward, there was one time where I was having some excruciating pain in my C-section or my stomach area. And Sarah actually called like the non-emergency or the doctor's phone number or something to be like, hey, like, I don't know what's going on. And it was kind of scary just because I couldn't stand or move for like 30 minutes, but then it finally went away. I guess it was gas. But Dr. Bass actually called Sarah's personal phone number to be like, hey, I saw this report come through. Just wanted to check in and make sure everything was okay. And I was like, what? I don't like weird, but I thought of it as like, oh, she really cares about her patient, that she's reaching out. So
And she's okay. I guess she's friendly to us. This is fine.
Yeah, I don't think that's
yeah. So then we have our first postpartum visit where we go in and, of course I express how I'm like kind of having the baby blues and very emotional and I'm just kind of sad and I'm scared that the baby's going to drive a wedge between me and my wife. And
valid.
Yeah. And Dr. Bass looks at me and my wife and says, you need to give Jade a lot more love and affection and TLC right now because, without her, your baby wouldn't be here. And so I was like, yeah, like that's going to do it. But then they also, at the end of that appointment, they started, and I wasn't a part of this conversation. It was another one of those things that I just went along with. I think Sarah initiated it in this appointment about us finally hanging out. And so they're like, yeah, we need to schedule a date or a time to hang out. And I think it was just like, yeah, we need to get to it type thing. A couple days later, and it's funny because I still have the picture on my phone where Sarah's holding our newborn and her phone is open and she's texting somebody. And it's funny because if you scroll in or zoom in on the picture big enough, you can see it's to Dr. Bass and it says, "Hey, girl crush, when are we going to figure out a date to get together?" And yeah, I didn't think anything of girl crush, but
well, it sounds like you already knew she had a girl crush. Like,
yeah, like,
and there's a world in which I could picture me and my current boyfriend being like, I have a crush on our doctor. Like, and there's a world in which you could both be in on it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
But it
and
sounds
I think that's
like
where it was at first, maybe like thinking that it was a friend. I didn't actually have a crush. Maybe I'm saying like we both were friends and we were in the same like boat of, hey, we want to be
like,
friends
love
with a cool
her
person.
Yeah.
So they started texting and figuring out plans. And it was 4th of July weekend. Dr. Bass came over, had dinner. We all had dinner together. She made homemade lasagna and it was great. It was delicious. We had fun. We played Jackbox on TV.
And at this point, their relationship was making me feel a little weird, but I was still really in this headspace of maybe she has a little crush, but it's my wife and my doctor, so there's not really anything to actually be nervous about.
So after the 4th of July, that is when they started communicating more. And it was more so like, I don't know, like getting to know each other, friendly type thing. And I remember mentioning at one point, I was like, you guys are talking a lot. Like, kind of weird how much you guys are talking. And she's like, oh, it's not, just making a new friend. And I just brushed it off. It was what it was.
Yeah. At this point, where are you in your postpartum depression? Like, how are you feeling as far as, you just have this baby and...
Yeah. So I struggled a little bit more with this one than with my first child. I don't know why. I don't really know if there's ever any rhyme or reason. But I know during my first and second appointments, like it was something I talked about with Dr. Bass when we discussed adjusting my medication. I know Sarah even advocated for that at one time too, because of like the moods that I'd been having at home. I know she even called one of my close friends to come and spend time with me one day, just saying that I needed somebody just because I was struggling with my emotions. And Dr. Bass even charted in my medical records that I was having like a depressive disorder or something. So I don't know, I was struggling. I was going through it. I remember telling both of them when we were having dinner at my house that like sometimes I would have those weird, like, not like that I wanted to, but like those weird visual visions of me like just dropping my baby on the floor or something.
Yeah, postpartum, you fear that your baby is going to be injured or hurt. You're terrified.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not that like I was thinking I wanted it to happen, but I just kept seeing it happen. It was difficult. I cried a lot at home, just randomly. And when it would happen with Sarah, they would just be like, are you just struggling? You're just having a rough time? And I'd say, yeah. And I think a lot of times I would just wanted to be held. But I don't know. It was manageable for the most part.
Was Sarah supportive?
I think as much as Sarah could be supportive.
But at the same time, her getting closer to Dr. Bass was starting to make me feel more and more uneasy.
So me and Sarah had a conversation about how like you guys are texting all throughout the day. Like, what are your hopes and dreams? They're sending pictures of their or what, at least Dr. Bass was sending like family pictures and when she was a little girl, and like they're really getting to know each other thoroughly. I think Sarah had asked me a question or talked about something she and Dr. Bass were talking about. And so I was like, well, let me see. And so I was like reading their conversation in the text messages. And I'm telling you, like from sun up till sundown. And if Dr. Bass didn't answer in a certain amount of time, Sarah would send another message. So like not letting the conversation go. And there was one message that just really got me that I think kind of ticked me over and made me feel some type of way. Is when Sarah said, I'm addicted to talking to you, or you're addicting to talk to, something like that. And I was like, hey, this is weird. Like, this makes me feel uncomfortable. And so this is when we had the conversation where I was like, what is it about her? Like, what? I don't think that you like her, but you clearly have something for her. Like you really want to be talking to her. So what is it? And I think she just told me, she was like, I don't know, she's a doctor and she wants to be our friend. It's cool or something. It was just pinning it as just being friendship. And I was like, okay, well, makes me really uncomfortable. And so I need you to like tone it down. Yeah. And our first compromise was, she was like, okay, I'll pull back. And if she doesn't text me back, I won't text again, or I won't like be so obsessed with it, that type of thing. Cause I talked about how the addicted comment hurt me. And she was like, you're right. I could have seen that being upsetting if I saw that for you. And I was like, I know how you talk to your other friends. You rarely talk to your other friends. And this is definitely not how you talk to them. So like, this is weird. And so we agreed on her pulling back. Well, then we had dinner that next night. And then it just, I don't know, it's little things that you kind of think that you're making too much out of something in the moment, but looking back on it.
Yes. You feel
So,
like you're being dramatic and you're like,
yeah, you feel like you're being dramatic. So
Yep.
after dinner, we were going to go get ice cream. And Dr. Bass was like, no, I don't want to. And instead of like maintaining our 3-way text message that we've had, Sarah sent a picture of my older son eating ice cream and was like, to just Dr. Bass, and was like, oh, you missed out on the ice cream. And I'm like, that just was unnecessary, you know? Like, why?
Yeah.
I texted in the 3-way message and was like, thanks for dinner. Like, keep it in the message. But so
And
then
also,
that night, sorry, go
really
ahead.
quick, Dr. Bass is single, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. They gave us some details about their singleness and their sex life during a dinner that we had. So yes, they are single and mingling, if you will. But that night I went through my partner's phone. And this was like bad on my part because we had the conversation after I looked at when she handed me her phone that weekend before the dinner and was like, you can read all of her messages or whatever. She was like, hey, we need to stop going through each other's phones. And so we made a pact, not a pact, but like an agreement that we were going to work on our trust and we weren't going to go through each other's phones. I was going to trust her to pull back on her communication, whatever. But I knew I didn't trust her. So I went through her phone and I saw there was a new feature that came out on the iPhone that she didn't know about yet, where you can see messages that you deleted. You know how you can do that now? You can like see recently deleted
in the little
messages.
folder.
How do you do that?
Tell the people. Let's go through the how to.
So if you click on your messages, if you go to edit in the top left-hand corner.
Oh, show recently deleted. Okay.
Yeah, there's a show recently deleted and it shows you all the messages you recently deleted, unless you delete the recently deleted. But she didn't know about it yet, so she didn't delete the recently deleted.
That's new. That's on a new update, right?
Not new. It was like within the last year, I think.
Oh, okay.
I
maybe a lot of people don't know about that.
We'll make a little video with the screen recording and just be like, hey, just in case y'all need to remember how to do that.
Yeah, it's a good one. But because she didn't know about it, I was like, yes. But I saw some deleted messages from her and Dr. Bass, and it was nothing bad, but it was her deleting the frequency of them talking so that I couldn't see that she was not pulling back at all. Like she was still actively trying to get her attention. I'm like, yeah. So I didn't say anything in the middle of the night. Obviously, I think I texted her. I was like, look, we need to have a conversation. So when we woke up the next day, we had a conversation about it. And this is where things kind of went downhill because she felt like I was trying to control her friendship.
So instead of the fight being about her and Dr. Bass, it became about me being too controlling.
So this is the week of my birthday. And that Tuesday night, we had dinner at my parents' house for my birthday. And mind you, Sarah was sober and she started drinking that night at my birthday. Randomly was just like, oh, I want to drink. And was texting Dr. Bass, I'm so drunk. I don't know what's in this, blah, blah, blah. And that very night, she told me that she had to go shopping for my birthday present the day before my birthday. And she was going to ask Dr. Bass to come with her. And I said, hey, that makes me really uncomfortable. I don't want you guys hanging out. She was like, well, I already asked her. And I was like, okay, so unask her, cancel it. Tell her you don't need her to come. And she was like, no, that'd be rude. And I was like, no. And so I think I felt that we came to an agreement, but the day before my birthday comes and she goes out to shop for my birthday present and texts me. And she's like, hey, by the way, Dr. Bass is coming to meet me. And I was like, are you serious? She told me, she was like, it's not going to be long. It'll be really quick. And then I'm going to come home for dinner. And they end up shopping for a little bit, going out to dinner, and then going back to Dr. Bass's apartment.
Are you kidding me?
No, we share each other's location. So, of course, like I'm watching her this whole time. Like, you said you're going to be home 3 hours ago. And granted, she wasn't at her apartment very long. And when she came home, she was like, oh, she was giving us cookies. She was giving baked cookies for us for your birthday. And I was like, I don't really care. Like I told you, maybe uncomfortable. And you did all this.
And meanwhile, I'm still postpartum and taking care of this newborn baby while she is out doing all of this.
Anyways, so the next day was my birthday and she was like, we're not talking about this. It's your birthday. We're going to have a good day. Mind you, I'm stewing because of course I'm still mad. I don't want to have a fake good day.
If I wanted to fight on my birthday, I'd be like, it's my birthday. We're fighting.
Right. So I don't know. My birthday was kind of weird. I think we tried to fake and play nice. And then throughout the weekend, it was kind of weird too. And it wasn't until the next week that we just had spent the entire weekend fighting about it, or just kind of passive aggressive fighting about it, not really coming to an agreement or a compromise either way. I was standing strong and not wanting the friendship to be present right now because it was interfering with our marriage. She was standing strong and thinking that I was controlling. And so finally one morning we were talking about it and I was like, do we need to postpone the actual wedding ceremony? And she was like, how could you say that? You said we'd always make it. You said you'd never leave me. It like started kind of freaking out in text messages. It was early. And she was at work. And then she was like, okay, I'll talk to her. And this is the first time that she had said her first name. We had always called her Dr. Bass. And she said, I'll talk to first name. And I was like, okay.
Wow. We're on a first name basis. Okay. This is more and more.
Yeah. And she was like, I'll take care of it. I'll talk to her. And I was like, okay, so how are we going to do this? And she was like, no, you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be involved. That would just be so rude and unfair to her. We don't want to seem like we're attacking her. Yeah. She said, we don't want to seem like we were attacking her. She was going to handle it herself.
Isn't she your doctor though? Like,
yeah.
That's
as someone who's gone through or is going through this postpartum, and now you have this person you're supposed to trust, your doctor, who's now you're like, oh, she's stepping on toes and it kind of feels weird. Like that must have been horrible.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely was very uncomfortable. So that evening when she should have been coming home for work, she texted me and she was like, all right, I'm heading to dinner with Dr. Bass now. And I was like, oh, you're going to dinner? And she was like, well, how else am I supposed to talk to her? And I was like, I didn't know conversation needed dinner. Like you could have talked to her on the phone.
Right? Right here in front of me or with me or
it sounds like you're breaking up with her.
Yeah. So they went to dinner and it again lasted much longer than she told me it would have. And she came home like 11 o'clock at night. Mind you, this whole time I'm postpartum, taking care of my kids by myself. The baby that you wanted to have, I'm taking care of by myself with my other kid. Like, anyways, comes home and is like, I just have a lot to process. We talked about a lot of things and I just don't know if I can really talk with you about it now. She just kind of put into perspective a lot of things. It just sounded like she was giving some marital advice. It was not a, hey, we're going to step away from the friendship right now because it's interfering with our marriage. Like, I think Sarah painted a larger picture of how unhappy she was, how unhealthy our marriage was, how she felt this and that I was not even let into. But I think they had this conversation because she ended up telling me that Dr. Bath was like, well, you just need to figure out what you really want. And I was like, what? So it was that night, it was a Monday night, that she was like, I'm going to sleep on the couch and I'm going to think about all this and we can talk later. And so I'm having a bawling breakdown at this point, and I'm like telling her, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I'm too much. I don't know how to not be too much.
I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because I felt like at that point that like things were ending, but
no,
I'm so sorry. That is the worst, especially going through like postpartum. I'm so sorry.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is she did what she always did and told me, no, you're not too much. I don't want you to change. I don't want anything about you to change. So like, I felt like nothing was, I don't know, I was reassured.
What are you supposed to do?
I was like, I feel like I'm losing you. And she was like, I'm not going anywhere. Nothing's happening. I just need some time. I need some space. And so I gave her her space and she slept on the couch for a week. And actually that next day, that Tuesday, I texted Dr. Bass and was like, hey, I know things are kind of weird right now. And I know Sarah wanted to talk to you one-on-one so you didn't feel like you were being attacked or anything. But I just wanted to say, if you and I wanted to talk at all and clear the air, I'm more than happy to do that. Ultimately, I want you to know that you didn't do anything wrong and we love everything you've done for our family. And she said, hey, thanks for reaching out. I'm sorry y'all are struggling. I just think it's best that I remove myself from the situation so I don't make anything worse.
Oh, okay.
Did you like that, or did you also feel, I would imagine, because you're OBGYN, you're supposed to be connected to them.
I would be like, something else is going on then, because that's a little dramatic, like a little, that's a lot.
Or did you feel like you lost your your resource at your doctor? I don't know.
I don't think I did at that point. I mean, I thought that like she was still my doctor and things were going to be fine. And we had all agreed that we're just not going to be friends.
Okay.
Naively, she said she's going to step away. My partner said that she took care of it and she just needed space to think about things, whatever. But, things were definitely tense the next couple of days.
No.
So time goes by. Me and Sarah have the conversation where we agree to postpone our wedding ceremony because we couldn't get our shit together, but also because our son did, in fact, have to have open heart surgery, and it was going to have to be a month after our wedding ceremony. So we just thought that we would, kind of just make everything as stress-free as possible.
Oh, my God. How scary was that?
Oh, it's terrifying. How can you even imagine like a baby chest being
oh my God
open? Throughout the week, it was kind of weird. Family had reached out to me too because they were let into what was going on. Obviously, we had to tell people that the wedding was canceled, and so everybody was kind of like just confused, like what the heck is going on, like what's happening. And so I didn't really give details. I just told Sarah's dad, she's not talking to me right now. I don't really know what's going on. And so he ended up meeting up with her for dinner one night and was telling her like, you're either going crazy, you're having a mental breakdown, or you're fucking somebody else. And he told me that. And I was like, well, I don't think so. But like, I don't know, a couple different people were trying to talk to her and be like, hey, what is going on right now?
Yeah, like
She wasn't talking to
what the
me.
F?
Yeah. And so like a week goes by where she's sleeping on the couch. We're not talking. And finally that Saturday morning, I told her like I had scheduled myself a spa day because I was going through the ringer. And she was like, okay, well, I'd like to talk when you get back home. And I was like, okay, cool. And in my head this whole day, I'm thinking, all right, this is the day that we're going to fix it all. We're going to make it better. Everything's going to be okay. And I get home and it was probably like 8 p.m. And
Oh no. Oh no.
yeah, she's holding the baby on the bed and my 4-year-old's bouncing around the room just because he's so excited. And I sit down and I'm waiting for her to be like, I don't know if I expected her to say I'm sorry or what, but you know, she says, I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. And I just kind of like lost my, I didn't react at first. So I was like, what do you mean? And I guess she kind of explained it, started saying that I was suffocating her and she felt like I was mothering her and she had no space and she has no hobbies and she doesn't do anything by herself and we have no trust and I don't know, all the things that were bad about our relationship. And I was like, okay, so what can we do together? And I was like, we can work on this together. We are married. We can work on it together. And she was like, that's just not what I want right now. I want to separate. I want to go work on myself. You go work on yourself. And then hopefully we come back together. And I was like, do we see other people? And she's like, no, that would just be putting a Band-Aid on things. And I don't know what happened, but something just clicked in me and like my fight or flight response just like skyrocketed. And I get up and I start pacing around and like hyperventilating. I'm like, I don't want to be a single parent. I don't want to do this alone. She's
All
like,
the fears come rushing in.
and she's telling me, you're not going to be a single parent. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing And I'm like, what do you mean? Because I'm so confused. And so that's when, I don't know, we had a big blow up fight. I ended up leaving that night, taking my kids to my sister's house with me. And Sarah did whatever. I don't know. I called her mom to go comfort her because she started bawling, crying too at some point and ran off into the garage to cry by herself. But the weird thing is, as soon as we had our big blow up fight, I'm driving with my kids to my sister's house and she changes her Facebook profile picture and revokes her location from me. And I'm like, dude, how are you even thinking about that right now? Like, I don't.
She was pulling away. Like she's clearly
and she was trying to
drawing
make a
line
statement to you.
There was clearly ulterior motive, but
sure.
So then fast forward to Monday. That was on Saturday. Fast forward to Monday. I mean, we talked about like obviously we'd still both live in the house together. We'd parent together. We just would have our space. We'd be separated or whatever. And I had her family telling me, mainly her mom telling me and her sister, like she's not going anywhere. She doesn't want to end the marriage. She loves you. She's just stressed. Maybe she's got postpartum herself. She just needs space, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. I'm going to be the best space giver I can be. And so I come home from picking up my son on Monday, which normally it was great. She had been picking up my older son because I was caring for the newborn at home and still, postpartum recovering. I was about a month and a half postpartum at this point. But she had asked me if I could go get him that day. And I was like, yeah, sure. I come home and she had gotten a haircut. Sarah had a nice undercut haircut, and she was growing it out for the wedding. So it was like probably like to her shoulder or something. Mm-hmm. And I got home and she had it freshly cut. And I guess what was kind of significant about that is one, she was growing it out for the wedding. Clearly this is like full sign that the wedding is off for good. Two, there was an appointment with Dr. Bass one time where we were talking about Sarah's haircut, and because she had it like kind of scraggly, and they got on the topic of it somehow, and she showed her a picture of what her undercut normally looks like. And Dr. Bass was like, oh yeah, that's hot. And so like I had those two images flashing through my mind. And so I walk in with the kids and I'm like doing nighttime dinner and getting ready for bath time. And Sarah's on her computer doing work or something. And I'm like, hey, do you want to give the baby a bottle? And she's like, oh no, I got to take care of some work first. And then she gets a phone call and leaves the house. Talk on the phone call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Leaves the house, and like drives away or just goes outside?
She goes either outside or into the garage. But she's on the phone call for like 30 minutes and I'm upstairs and it's like 9:00 at this point. And we did this for a while, like making sure that she had opportunities to feed a bottle to the baby because I was nursing. She couldn't nurse. Like we tried to make sure that she got equal feeding time. And so I'd called her and was like, hey, do you want to come feed him? Like he's going to bed. And she texted me and she was like, I'm on the phone. And I was like, okay. So I put the boys to bed and then she comes upstairs and it's like, I'm just really angry. I can't even hold the baby. I can't be here. I'm not getting the space I need. I just need to get away. I'm going to go stay at my coworker's house. And I knew she was lying. And then she told me, she was like, if my parents ask me why my location's not on, and we didn't have each other's location at this point.
So she could lie.
Say, like, my parents don't have my location. So if they ask you that, it's because I don't want them to think I'm doing drugs and creating court or something. Cause like, I guess this coworker lives somewhere sketchy.
What? Okay.
And like, just trying to kind of laying it on thick. So I was like, okay, you're not going to your coworker's house. I know you're going to Dr. Bass's house, but I didn't say anything. I was just like, okay, you got to do what you got to do. And I kind of felt like a shift in me because like old me, old us, I'd have been begging and pleading, like, please don't go.
Right.
Don't, please. But I just let it happen, let it play out. And so then I was like, well, I'm going to call my mother over here to stay with me. And she was like, why? And I was like, because I'm freshly postpartum and I have 2 kids to take care of and I'd like help. And I'm also very like distraught right now because my marriage is crumbling. So like, I need help. I need support. And so when I called my mom, of course, I'm crying and venting to her. And she's like, I'm going to go out there and look. And so she drove out to Dr. Bash's apartment complex and sent me a picture of Sarah's truck there in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah. And so I think one of the things in looking back on it, like I wouldn't have done before, I had called Sarah's dad and Sarah's mom. And I basically was like, you guys lied to me. You said that she wasn't going anywhere. Well, guess where she is? And so like it became messy because I got people involved and they both hopped in their car together and drove out to the apartment complex to try and confront her and like pull her out of the house.
No.
It was a gated apartment complex. Oh, it's funny because Sarah's mom was trying, I guess the dad stopped her, but she was like had a tube of lipstick and hopped out of the car to write liar on Sarah's truck. And I was like,
No.
Sarah's mom?
Mother. Yeah.
Wow.
We talk about this sometimes because a lot of people come on and talk about their dogfish's family being totally in on it or not confronting them. And then all of our
Mama
guests are
ain't
like,
happy.
well, the
She's
things
like,
I would do.
I did not raise you like this.
Okay, so everybody's now at this apartment complex, essentially.
Well, so mom and dad are there, but they couldn't get in. It's a gated community. My mom is on the way back to me because I'm obviously in shambles. And so I tried to call Sarah. She didn't answer. This was like 1 a.m. at this point. And so I just sent her the picture my mom sent me of the truck in the parking lot and went to sleep. Well, I don't even think I slept that night, but the next morning, or it was around 4 a.m. and all she said was yes, question mark.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Yeah. Got it.
Rude.
Wow.
And so then she tried to call me a little bit that morning. I didn't answer. But so that whole day I spent with my sister packing up every item of Sarah's in the house and putting it neatly packaged on the front porch. And yeah, I guess that's where it started. The whole separation of everything started. She came home that day, or well, she asked to come home that day to get her stuff. And we tried to have a little conversation about what's going to look like moving forward, but it got nasty from there. So
can you just clarify like the moment where you were like, I'm done and I'm packing up her stuff? What was that for you?
So it was when I was on the phone and I remember it. I was pacing back and forth in my hallway in my house that I loved, that I was building this family in. And I just kind of like felt it all crumble at once because I was on the phone with my sister because my mom was texting her while she was at the apartment. And I remember my sister, just like the seriousness in her voice. My mom was trying to call me and I was like, no, I want to stay on the phone with you. And she was like, no, you need to answer. And so I answered my mom and she said she's here. And I don't know, I still felt hopeful, like naively hopeful of like, okay, she said they were just friends. Maybe she just needed a friend. She just needed an outlet. She was stressed, everything. So I don't know. It's like, I think it was a realization that my gut was right the entire time because I had these gut feelings from.
But is that satisfying? Is it satisfying for you to know, like even though like something shitty happens to you, you're like, but I was right. Like there's something satisfying about that, right?
It is. But then there's also like the much more satisfying part of God, ignorance is bliss. And I wish I didn't know anything.
Yes, I get that too. 100%.
Yeah, you didn't want to be right.
No, I didn't. I really didn't because I kept denying it. The next couple of days after, and my sister was telling me, like, she was trying to beat it into my head that I was so stupid. Because, of course, when I saw Sarah that next day, she was like, I know that it looks bad, but that's why I didn't tell you where I was going because you would think that it was something that it wasn't. And I was like, okay, she's a friend. Like, yeah. The day after, I was still in denial. I mean, days after, I was kind of in denial, but obviously we did, part ways. I told her she had to get out of the house and we had conversation about what's going to happen with the kids and with the house and everything. Nothing finalized, but we just had words about what was going to happen. And I mean, kind of some not great words. She told me, she was like, you can't expect me to pay child support when both of those kids aren't even biologically mine.
I was going to ask that. Did she use any of that? How did you navigate that?
So I mean, she obviously has since said that's not how she meant it. She meant like she doesn't stand a chance in court when they're not biologically hers. And I was like, but that's not what you said. And so I don't know. She doesn't pay child support. I'll tell you that much. But so after I kicked her out, she couldn't stay with the doctor anymore. Her parents didn't want her to stay with her. She didn't want to stay with her parents. So she came back and I was like, I'm not living in this house with you to gaslight me. Because she would come up to me and try and rub my arms and hug me and be like, your mom says you're not doing okay. I just want to make sure you're okay. And like, just play games that I didn't really want to play. I mean, of course, she came back a couple times to try to be like, I want my family back. And I fell for it the first time. And the second time.
Wait, what happened?
So it was probably 2 weeks after everything happened. And it's funny because like I had known that she was with Dr. Bass still in this time frame. I guess I didn't know for certain, but there was one weekend where she was going to a coworker's birthday trip and something in my gut just knew. I was like, oh, I bet they're going together. And so I was crying on my best friend's couch with a newborn and my other kid playing at their house while she's partying it up at a casino. And so it was probably the following week where she came back over to the house to come and see the kids. And she was begging me to let her stay the night. And I didn't understand why, but she just kept begging, just please let me spend the night. This is my home too. I have nowhere to go. And I'm like, go stay with where you've been staying. I forget how exactly it happened, but we ended up talking about everything that night. And she confessed a lot to me. You know, she told me that she slept with the doctor, told me when she first realized.
Oh, so this is your first time getting confirmation?
Yep.
Oh,
and what did she say?
wow.
What was the details of that?
I asked her, like, you know, what happened? And she just confessed, you know, and said that they did sleep together. And I asked her if she went up to the casino with her, and she said yes.
And like I said, this whole time I was kind of in denial and convincing myself that they were just friends. But deep down, I think I knew the truth the whole time. So when she confessed, I wasn't surprised.
And it's so funny because this entire time I'm thinking in my head, okay, I'm going to get all the dirt that I need to use against her. And so I'm calm, I'm composed, I'm not freaking out, I'm not crying, I'm just reconfirming everything that I already knew. And she looks at me at one point and she's like, I don't understand why you're not really reacting. It's kind of scaring me. And I was like, I don't know. We're having a conversation.
You're numb to it at that point too. Did she tell
She
you?
was expecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She probably wanted it. I'm curious. So can you tell me when? Are you somebody that asks for details? Because my first gut, as you're telling me this, is like, yeah, when did you sleep together?
Yeah.
At what
I
time
wanna know
exactly?
everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
And
to my
what was
detriment.
exchanged?
Oh,
Yeah.
I asked for very gritty details. And of course, she's like, you don't need to know that. I don't want to hurt you anymore. But I got the details. At least I think I got all the. I'll never know if I
Well,
got
that's
all
the
of the
thing. What did
details.
she tell you?
So she told
if
me
you want to
that-
share.
Yeah. She told me the night. I mean, she still maintains that the first night that she went over there, the night that my mom found her there, that she slept in the guest bedroom. And she said that the first night that they actually had sex was that weekend that they went up to the casino together. They came back, went to Dr. Bass's apartment, and I think it was just oral. She said it was just oral and like fingering. She said my pants never came off. Nobody touched me or something. And I was like, okay.
Does that make it okay?
No.
I know. Yeah.
What
That's
is-
like, that's,
no.
Well, that was one of her big arguments too from the beginning is she was like, okay, well, I didn't sleep in her room the night that I spent the night over there. And I was like, okay, but from the moment that you started conversating with her
yeah.
was when you started your affair.
It's almost a lot of times people are like, I'd rather you just sleep with them one time and never talk to them again.
Yeah, 100%.
Versus having this long, drawn out emotional affair.
Talking at 2 a.m. in the morning when you're sleeping on the couch and I'm upstairs in the bedroom and we're still together. Yeah, of course. I'd much rather it have been physical. And we'd had that conversation years ago in our relationship. One, hey, if you ever get feelings for somebody else, let's be honest about it. Two,
Yeah.
if you ever cheat on me, like just know that the emotional affair will be much worse than a physical affair because it's the intent and the emotions behind it that matters. So after she told me all the details of everything, then we head back downstairs for her to leave because we were upstairs because the kids were upstairs. And it was time. I was like, all right, you got to go now. And she starts like being playful and she tries to back me up against a wall and try to kiss me and stuff. And I remember explicitly saying to her, what kind of person would I be or what would it say about how I feel about myself if I just let you do whatever you want right now? And she's like, I know, but just wait for me. And I was like, wait for you? What do you mean? Like, wait for you to get it out of your system with her? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, no. So then she asked me again if she could spend the night. And I was like, look, the only way that you're spending the night tonight is if you end it with a doctor right now. And so she I'm telling you, this was another one of those 10-minute long situations where we spent in the doorway standing there for 10 minutes, her trying to figure out what she was going to do. And finally she was like, okay, I'll call her. And so she called her in front of me and told her that they were going to end it. And she said she was crying. And she said she was sorry, but she wanted to work on her marriage and that things were over between them. And the doctor was just very like coldly like, okay, so you're saying you're no longer separated. We are through and you and your wife are back together. And Sarah was like, yes. And Dr. Bass was like, okay, but what about all of our messages and our pictures? And Sarah was like, I'll delete it all. I'll take, like, it won't be an issue. And so she hangs up and then she cries in my shoulder and tells me how hard that was for her. And then I watch her delete everything. And of course, I see some text messages like, I love you too, baby. And I saw a picture that they took together kissing when they were at the casino. And she turned her phone away from me at one point. I was like, do you have nudes on there? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, you talked for like 2 weeks. What do you mean?
And also to say, I love you. I mean, this is, so what are you feeling in that moment as you're watching her delete?
Well, so at this point, what's funny is because at this point, I'm still thinking like, I'm just getting ammo, you know? I'm not in the same headspace of her as like, oh, we're going to work on things. We're going to work on things. But of course that changed, you know? Of course that night I was like, okay, we're going to work on things. And we talked into the early morning and like the next morning when we woke up and she went to work, she was like, you know, I love you. It's always been you. I'm sorry. We're going to fix it. We're going to get it together. And so me being stupid and believing it, I'm like, sit down with my family the next day because they've literally been holding me together. And I'm like, hey, so she said she wants to work on our marriage. And my sister and my mom are basically looking at me like I have 5 eyeballs and saying everything to me except for you're stupid. And I mean, the most supportive way possible, but basically saying what is like the truth, but I didn't know how to accept and that like nothing's going to come of this. But then we were kind of texting back and forth throughout the day. I know she asked me like how my family was taking it because like I told her I would talk to them, obviously. And I told her it was hard, you know, and that I needed her support. And she was like, I know, I'm so sorry. It's going to be hard. And then around like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she kind of went silent. And when it was time for her to come home from work, she just said like, I'm on the way. We need to talk. Comes home and it's like, I can't do it. I still love her. I'm still thinking about her. And I just can't do it. And so I was like, all right, well, you got to pack it up and get back out of the house. And that'll be what it is.
So after that, I am left with 2 kids. My marriage has fallen apart. And my OBGYN of all people is who my wife had an affair with. So it's kind of like I felt betrayed by both of them. My wife betrayed me, but also this doctor. And I am still postpartum. And now I have no OBGYN to go to.
So I was encouraged heavily by Sarah's mother to report the doctor to her practice. So I did. I reported to the practice and the practice kind of swept it under the rug, so to speak.
Really?
You know, they did like their internal investigation. It's funny because when I spoke to the CEO about it, he straight up told me, he was like, yeah, Dr. Bass did tell me about this last week, but I was on vacation. And so I was like, hey, just pump the brakes and we'll talk about it later. And now that you're here, I guess the only thing we have to do is to do an internal investigation. And I was like, all right, so if I didn't come, were you not going to investigate? But they did their investigation and a couple months went by. This doctor was also a shareholder in the practice. So I think it was a lot of like trying to protect their buddies.
Yeah, of course.
But ultimately the outcome was a phone call and they said, hey, so we need to give the doctor grace as a human being and never having had any issues with their record or any complaints before. And so we're going to have them do an ethics training. And then to give you peace of mind, we've told them that they can no longer be in contact with your wife until your divorce is finalized. So
did you know about if they were still in contact?
Yes, I knew that they had still been in contact. And I was very certain that they were not going to stop or had not stopped contact. So after the practice told me that, I was like, okay, so what now? I don't feel like any justice was served. So I reached out to a medical malpractice lawyer and talked with him a little bit. And he tried to help me with the practice and basically like edging them a little bit further of some more disciplinary action of some sort because they didn't feel like it was good enough. But he's also a medical malpractice lawyer. So he was like, and if you don't, then maybe we can come to a settlement or something for money, which I made it very clear to him and to Sarah's family, all my family. I didn't care if I got money. It wasn't money that I wanted out of it. I wanted the doctor at that point really just to be held accountable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, she was like, your doctor during that specific part of your life should be somebody that you can trust almost completely. And you should be able to go to them.
Yes.
And she severed that by making you
Yeah.
I mean, like, absolutely. And that's a big part of care.
Yeah,
Like, I do
100%.
think that if she was willing to do that, then I
I
don't
think
really care
that
if she was seduced or not. Like, she would do it again to another patient.
right. I think that one of the things that sucks the most is that I feel like and maybe it's because I'm not medically trained, I don't know anything about it, but it seems like there's much less emphasis on the postpartum care portion when I think that that should be a huge portion of focus with your doctor.
100%.
And yeah, because it's not. And I mean, so for example, the postpartum depression scale or survey that they use at your appointments, I lied my ass off on that thing. I didn't want documentation or record of someone saying that I was down in the dumps just because I had a baby. Like, and people are not going to be honest on those things. I don't think I verbalized how I was feeling to my doctor because I felt I could trust them, but I didn't fill out the survey appropriately, and that was used against me in court or the
Also,
hearing. But
this is information that she can then go use to bolster her affair. Now she knows about your marriage. She knows about your sex life. She might know about your medical, whatever it is. Like, that's
that is
information
Yeah.
that
sucked the
is
most
very
is that
private.
very private. The week after everything happened, I don't know why Sarah told me this, but Sarah decided to tell me that Dr. Bass made her an appointment at the office to get an STD test because they were going to have sex. And I was like, wow, okay. Why'd you need to
Oh
tell me that?
my God.
But also,
Premeditated.
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah, literally. So when the medical malpractice lawyer helped me reach out to them, they basically said, we feel like what we've done is enough. So no, thank you. And so at that point, the malpractice lawyer was like, hey, we don't necessarily have a case legally because what she's done isn't medical malpractice. And it's very gray because Sarah was a third party, wasn't necessarily the patient. And the legal, like the law behind it is much more gray when it comes to a third party. It is very clear in the medical code that it's still not okay and it's still against medical code. But in terms of law, it's really gray. So he advised that I just go to the medical board. So we did.
Wow.
I sent a complaint to the medical board.
Good.
So it took, I think, a month or two after I wrote the letter for someone to contact me and be like, hey, it was an investigator and they got all the details. And it was great because it felt like I was finally being seen and taken seriously. And she even said, like, it seems like this wasn't taken seriously before, or at least that's how you felt. Because at the end of my statement that I wrote, and I still wholeheartedly feel this way, is that I had an amazing support system, but there are people out there who don't. And if I didn't and I had harmed myself or something, would it have been taken more seriously, And so that was kind of what
yeah.
the investigator honed in on. Like, we want you to know that we're taking this seriously. And so she was a delight to work with, got all the details. And it was her and myself that were called to testify at the hearing for the medical board. And then Dr. Bass and Sarah testified on behalf of Dr. Bass, which was like just another smack in the face. Thankfully, we didn't have to listen to each other's testimonies. I didn't want to. I didn't want to see either one of them. I didn't want to hear them. But my friends were there to support me and they let me know all the details afterwards. And I found out that they denied, things that were said in our appointments, like the pillow princess thing, that haircut's hot. They denied that Dr. Bass initiated the friendship. And I was there. She said it to me. She said, hey, I want to be your friend. She added me on Instagram. Like, I didn't make that up. But they denied that. Sarah said that I initiated the entire friendship, said that I was only reporting this because I wanted money. Sarah also said that she had been trying to leave me for years and that I was holding my kid against her. They said that we all agreed that we would be ending the patient-doctor relationship. We all agreed that together and we would just be friends. That never happened. There was not once a conversation about that. But it was great because in the end, the order that came out, like the result, the doctor got reprimanded. So they have their license back. The license was suspended for a while when the complaint was first made because the medical board found reason for potential public harm. So they suspended her license in probably about like a month and a half or two. So the result was a reprimand. She got her license back and she had to do some professional course for ethics and boundaries, which I struggled at first with wondering, is that enough? But then at the end of the day, too, I was like, I didn't want her to lose her license. I didn't want to carry that guilt because I felt guilty when she was terminated, which, by the way, sorry, I left that out. When I did file the medical board report and her license was suspended, she was terminated from her practice. So that felt like justice. And the order report after the case, too, they said that they found my statement credible. And Dr. Bass is basically not. And they said that she was not forthright or forthcoming with all the details about the romantic involvement of my spouse and her. And so that was kind of justice as well, because those records are public knowledge. And so no matter what they say, no matter what lies they say, that will at least always be out there as truth forever.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where
What do you
we
think,
are.
Stupid games,
Mackenzie?
stupid prizes.
Yeah. As an investigator, Mackenzie, have you ever had to work on something like this? Or no, this kind of.
Well, like a standard like cheating kit. Like, is she?
Well, I
are
guess,
they
but
talk-
I'm thinking specifically like a medical board case, because I know a lot of times it's like insurance fraud.
No,
but-
as a matter of fact, I really haven't. Like, I've investigated like medical professionals in their personal lives, but none where it's been a medical professional with a patient that I know of.
I'm curious what that's like.
I would be curious too. I'm definitely curious about that.
Because it does sound like he said, she said, or she said, she said,
And so
she
that's
said.
that was kind of unfortunate, is that in the Commonwealth person that I was working with, who was, I don't know if I would call him my lawyer or what, but he was the representative of the Commonwealth who I was working with or testifying for. And he did explain to me that a lot of it was he said, she said. And so the stuff that I had evidence on, so like pictures of Sarah's vehicle at Dr. Bass's house and phone records. I had a lot of phone records too, which showed exactly when, which back it up, I will say this is my hindsight or discovery. Remember that time that I had texted Dr. Bass and was like, hey, if you want to talk, clear the air, we can. And they're like, no, I'm going to remove myself. Called my wife like a couple hours later and they had an hour and a half long conversation. And I'm like, that doesn't look like removing yourself to me.
No.
And so from that moment on, they just had phone records going all hours of the day and all times. So just a lot of lies, a lot of inconsistency, a lot of sneaking around. And I will say one thing that my friend kind of helped me see from listening to the testimonies is that, and I kind of hated her for saying it at first, but I definitely see what she means. She said she felt like in a way Dr. Bass was a victim as well, because she felt like Sarah probably painted a completely different picture of what our marriage or relationship was like.
That's a good point. I was kind of wondering that.
Yeah. And I believe it too. I believe that Monday night where they went and had dinner together and she was supposed to just be saying, hey, we can't be friends right now, a lot more happened. And while I think that it's very possible, I struggle with making sure that doesn't take away the responsibility that Dr. Bass had for me as their patient.
100%.
Both can be true. She can have been manipulated and also.
It was one of the things they talked about in the medical board hearing as well, is they grilled Dr. Bass on like, what is the standard time frame that you care for a postpartum patient? And I don't know if you guys knew this, but it's 90 days. I didn't know that. I had about 60 days. And so they questioned her about that, where would that have put you time frame wise? And it was October. And this happened in August or late July, early August. And so they're like, so you chose to pursue a personal relationship over the care of your patient. And I was glad that was like a point that was made too, because like I said, I just think that the postpartum period is so intricate, so delicate, and so important because it's not just the baby. It's not just the mom. It's the mom and the baby, and the mental health, the physical, emotional, medical health of everybody impacts each other. And I also think that as two people, my wife and Dr. Bass, who have never been pregnant, carried pregnancies, experienced any of those hormones, they couldn't possibly fully understand how intense it is. And I just think that there needs to be a lot more, training, knowledge, research about that.
100%. I agree.
I'm so glad you're talking about that.
Yeah.
Completely.
I think one of the other things too that I had to think about is whether or not and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it was an easy let off for the doctor, because apparently reprimands are very serious. But there's another part of me that wonders, like, if it were a male versus a female relationship where like it was a male patient, male doctor, or female patient, female doctor, if the
repercussions would be different.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would.
Or even if it was just male on male. I don't know. I feel like, female versus female sometimes has that lack of seriousness stigma around it. But it was very serious. Like we made an oath. We took the oath. We were literally legally married. So that's something that I thought about. Curious about that. There was one thing brought into question when it was back at the practice level and not at the medical board yet. The practice level, they were telling me, like saying, like, we don't want to run the risk of outing Dr. Bass if she's never expressed that she's on the, I don't know, playing for the other team, or I don't know how they said it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like what? That's what you're worried about?
You kind of give up your right to that privacy when you are legally doing something wrong. Like, we don't want to out a bank robber as being a robber, but if they got caught robbing the bank, they kind of lose that respect in a way. But I understand. That's interesting.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I wish that they would do too is update their medical guidelines, medical board guidelines, ethical guidelines to outline this a little bit more clear, because I was faced with I've called so many lawyers because a lot of people were telling me, pursue a case to sue the doctor, at least get some money out of it. No, it won't make you happy, but you can at least buy a house. And I'm like, is that the answer? I had no idea what the answer was throughout all of this. And so I tried everything.
Yeah, like, what do you do?
No idea. So I called like 20 lawyers and everybody's like, no, there's no case here. There's nothing legal. There's nothing. It's literally just alienation of affection. It's just an affair. I had some people tell me, oh, people just have affairs. It's what they do. And I'm like, oh, that's awful.
Not
So,
your OBGYN.
yeah, right?
I don't know. That's crazy to me.
I truly think it's one of those things that, I don't know, people don't know how to handle or wouldn't understand it until it happened to them, because you really just don't. I had my first OBGYN appointment 2 months ago since everything happened. It was a brand new office, brand new doctor. I literally was in shambles the entire time. Couldn't stop crying. The poor doctor was like,
oh my
"Oh,
God.
have you never been to an OB before? Like, do you need whatever?" And I was like, "No, I'm sorry. I just was traumatized. And nothing you did, nothing you're going to do. I'm so sorry." But I just couldn't get my shit together the entire time, because you don't think about how vulnerable you are in that state when somebody's literally inside of you. And then to think
Yes.
of them betraying that trust that you put it. It's
Yes.
just wild to think about. And it is something that
I didn't even right now, I didn't even think about that specifically. Like, they are physically the most intimate doctor that you might ever have.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I obviously sought therapy immediately after all this happened. And I've been doing EMDR therapy, which has been a lifesaver. I was diagnosed with PTSD, and I've been doing talk therapy, CBT therapy, and then also EMDR therapy. And I'm a huge advocate for EMDR therapy. And I can say that a year later, it still sucks a whole lot, still hurts a whole lot, but a lot less than it did before. I mean, I'd say that there's some progress. I would not be anywhere near where I am right now without my family and my friends. You know, my sister's been my rock. I have a couple close friends that have been my rock. My parents let me and my 2 kids come back into their home. That's been an eventful time, but I mean, I'm so grateful that it's even possible. So I don't know. I'm both hopeful and still, what's the word? Broken in a way.
Yeah. You're healing.
Healing. Yeah. Yeah. I honestly think that I don't think I'll
God.
ever come to a point where I say like I'm healed, so to speak. I think that it's kind of a lifelong journey. But the next thing that I'm kind of working towards is, I don't know if I'm quite ready to be at like forgiveness yet, but definitely working on the resentment.
Yeah. I want to ask some feeling reflection questions, but before that, can you just like answer the questions I know the audience is going to have? So, where did the custody battle end up? What is your relationship with her today?
There was no real battle with the baby. We came to a pretty easy agreement on that one. I don't know how. I was grateful for it though. I know at first they tried to pursue like 3-3-4 schedule or something. And I was like, hey, no, can we like at least wait until we're at least a year into breastfeeding before you take him from me 3 nights a week? 4 nights a week?
Yeah, let's do that.
They were pretty reasonable with that. In terms of custody for my oldest, that just ended completely. There is no custody issue or battle. I have 100% custody. She has nothing legal over him.
So she doesn't have any legal right to him, but I still do allow him to see her because she was such a huge part of his life. And I don't feel that it's right for me to take that away from him.
Ultimately, though, the reason I still let her see him, they still have a relationship. Yes. I just wanted to be able to make sure that I am in control of my child. He's my child, always has been my child. God put him in my belly and had this whole situation unfold, clearly showing that I'm the person who's supposed to be in charge of him. So I just wanted to make sure that that stayed within my span of control, as I feel like I know what's best for him. So
good for, I like that.
I know you're an amazing mom, and the fact that you're also giving him that like relationship with his brother, and
well, that was the driving thing. When I talked about it, I talked about how like baby brother will be going here these days. What do you want to do? And he's like, I want to stay with baby brother. And I'm like, okay, I understand that, you know.
So what about Dr. Bass and Sarah?
So at the medical board hearing, they did say that they were still seeing each other. They said, just as friends. Do we believe that? Probably not. But
who cares?
Who
Fuck
cares?
'em.
Exactly. At the end of the day, they deserve each other. And if it wasn't Dr. Bass, it would have been somebody else. That's what I've come to accept as well, is that like somebody else would have come along. I will say that, you know, of course, I've been told you'll be thankful for this. You'll either, one, be thankful that you were saved from further heartbreak, or 2, be thankful for the break that you get from your kids. I hate when people say both of those things. I'll never say thank you for those things.
I do
I'll never say thank you, but I'm trying to see the silver linings in them.
Like, I hate when people say, oh, your kids are going back to school. Are you so grateful? I'm like, no.
Wait, talk more about that, because you both have dealt with this. Like, so I was also thinking about how your sister was in a position where she could have been like, I told you so, when she had suspicions, but it sounds like she's been very supportive. Like, what are the best ways to support somebody going through a divorce, with children, with cheating, with whatever it is?
Yeah. It's so hard because there's really nothing that you're going to be able to say that's going to make anybody feel better. It took a year of people to continue telling me that, like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It had nothing to do with me. And I still question that sometimes. I would say the consistency of that has been the biggest thing. There have been many times where I've felt like they don't want to hear me about this anymore. They don't want to hear me cry anymore. They don't want to hear me talk about this anymore. And sure enough, every time I call, they pick up and they help me process it. And really just having that space. Sometimes it's not saying anything. Sometimes it's just being that safe space for someone to let it out and feel. My sister's like, you got to ride the wave. You got to let yourself feel it. It's okay.
Right.
That thought will pass. And then she normally says, like, you had a bad day the other day, and guess what? You had a good day next. So this bad day will pass too, and you'll have another good day. So it's like the being there, holding space for someone.
And like letting you be sad.
Yeah.
Letting you feel everything.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have to go through a hearing with a medical board, court cases about your kids, while also mourning a relationship and going through a breakup? How do you do that? Literally, how?
The best advice that I've been given, mainly through therapy, when trying to think about things, is you got to take it one day at a time, literally sometimes hours at a time, because there's no planning ahead in this. Your thought, your emotions, your heart versus your mind, it's going to change and flip-flop so many times. You're going to hate them, love them, mourn them, wish them the worst things possible, all within the same 2 hours. And it's terrifying to not know how you really feel about somebody, but it's even more terrifying to realize that you never knew this person in the first place. So really just taking it hour by hour and swallowing all of the new information or the new reality that you have has been like the not easiest, but the most helpful thing for me. So to answer your overall question, how was it going through all of that? This has been the hardest thing of my entire life, which sounds so superficial, especially for people who are starving or people who are going through much worse things in their life. But it's like the emotional trauma that you go through. Your entire reality and identity, my entire identity and reality was just rocked, and trying to rebuild that back up while taking care of other people, while doing the right things. It's terrifying. And also,
you didn't ask to do that.
No, I didn't.
That's the other thing. People are like, you're so strong, and you're like, I don't want to be strong.
Right.
It's like, I don't have any interest.
Yeah.
I would love to just be weak and have no drama.
Just somebody take care of me. Thank you so much for sharing, Jade. I really appreciate it. Someone's going to relate to that and
I hope
just really feel heard. So thank you for sharing this story.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for hearing me.
What a story. Like, I'm so curious now how often this happens with like doctors, medical professionals. Like, medical professionals are supposed to be someone that you trust, and they have these boundaries and they take these oaths and all this stuff. Like, it's hurtful.
Well, I think back to being a kid, and like one of the things I remember my parents even teaching me about boundaries and, unsafe adults was kind of like, nobody can touch you, nobody can do anything unless it's your doctor and you're with mom or dad at a doctor's appointment. You know what I mean? Like, they were like the earliest trustworthy professional human in my life that I was, that was framed that way. So then to have any kind of betrayal come from your doctor, it would make it really hard not only to trust in relationships, but also to trust doctors.
I know exactly.
And that's the worst thing. That's the person you want to be the most honest about. It's like, nobody else needs to know how many drinks you have in a week, but your doctor should know,
Yeah. Yes. And I feel like being a woman to woman versus a male doctor, that obviously, that begs the question, like, would this be different if it was a dude? Like, if this was, would he be like looked upon? I think people give a lot. Like, I feel like we're like, well, was it the doctor's responsibility to be loyal to this girl? No, but it is her professional responsibility, you know?
Right.
And so she needs to give care to this postpartum situation to her patient, and she's not doing that. So that in itself is not okay, period.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that when she said how the gender changes it, because I think it like could go a lot of different directions. Whereas the fact that it's a queer woman relationship, I get where she's like it could be taken less seriously because of the same way that women's pain in medicine isn't taken as seriously. Like there's
Right.
just like an overall kind of subconscious, well, maybe this is just drama versus
Yeah.
a serious incident. And so in a way, I think a lot of
That's
times
a
we
good
think
point too.
I think a lot of times we think, oh, this is only being taken really seriously because it's a woman. And if it was a man doing it, they'd get away with it. I kind of feel like it could be reversed, where it's like a man might have they might have come down harder on
Mm-hmm.
a male doctor doing that. But we also
Yeah.
we wouldn't have been as surprised in a way. But then to say if it was gay men versus if the man was the husband and the doctor was a woman, I do think then it would be like the woman is attacked more than the man, maybe. Who knows? What do you guys think? There's a lot of speculation on that.
Yeah, I would love to know what you guys think about that, because it's just, I'm super curious.
Can we go back to some of the signs in the beginning of the relationship in our dogfish debrief to like talk about how this came to be? I don't think that
Okay.
obviously this was a relationship that had really lovely moments in the love bombing stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sounds like, do you think Sarah just does this? Like this is her pattern of getting really, really close and controlling someone until she gets bored?
It sounds like she has a need for the control, obviously. And I feel like she felt attention from the doctor
Yeah.
and got excited about that. And I feel like the need, like, so you have Jade, who was like seeking attention, and she said, like, I was constantly begging for attention and affection, whatever.
But
So
first she wasn't. The beginning, the pursuing, she didn't want to be with her, which I'm sure was a wonderful challenge for Sarah.
Right. But then when she needs all this, when someone's chasing you, you're like, ew. But when someone doesn't want you, then you want to go to them. So then it's like you have this person chasing you and you're like, well, this isn't fun. And so then you have this person who's showing you attention and now you get to chase them. And I think that could be what fueled her, that and the control.
And she said herself at the end, I thought the grass would be greener. Like, I think there is that she has that need to see if the next best thing is better. And man, that's a recipe for real disaster, especially if you're a self-centered person, which it sounds like she is. I mean, even just the little thing of like spooking the sun just for fun, even though the sun doesn't like it, is to me like, yeah, it's asserting control. It's thinking it's funny when it's hurting somebody and it's not okay. And it's a sign of that behavior. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's really, it's interesting when there's kids are involved too, because in a lesbian relationship where you have like only one of them has given birth to this, only one of them is experiencing the hormones, even though they both do the parental thing. I mean, just like in a straight relationship, however, women are typically more geared the same emotionally, and then women and men are different. So in a straight relationship, it's like, well, you kind of expect that because guys are different in general. But when you have two women and only one of them are experiencing this, these hormones that the other one isn't, I understand. It seems like that could be a little tricky too.
Totally. And I think that's like a pro and con, where one beautiful thing about queer relationships is that you get to determine the dynamics for yourselves. There's not like a traditional gender role that you have to work either to change for you guys or to just fall right into. And that's kind of fun. And then at the same time, it causes some gray area with navigating. Like the moment that she said, well, you can't expect me to pay child support because biologically they're not my children.
Yeah,
when she was part of the process of that, the second child the whole time, that is using it in a horrible way. I'm glad that that's not how she ended up. Well, I guess she doesn't pay child support, but it's sick. That's like a sick thing to do, especially she wanted that child. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm still not over like the fact that they were flirting in appointments and flirting.
I just feel like if this was going to happen, like the doctor had a responsibility professionally, medically to help her patient through. And then she could say after the 90 days or however long the care was supposed to be, say, okay, this is, or even though I think Sarah had the loyalty aspect, like she should have been more loyal to her partner, but that's not a legal issue. The legal issue is when the doctor comes in. The doctor has a professional legal responsibility to her patient to say, hey, this is, and then take care of her for the 90 days. And then if something happens after that, then she can say, hey, I don't want to be your doctor anymore, whatever, cut it off. And then it's a personal thing and it's not a legal thing. But the doctor, I feel,
she put the patient
held accountable a little bit.
In danger. She put the patient in jeopardy.
Especially with postpartum and the whole mental thing. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Absolutely. The way she said that is so true, in my opinion. If her family hadn't been such a good support system, there's absolutely chance I could see someone really having a lot of self-harm issues with that aftermath.
And that's what's so dangerous about it.
Anything else you want to say about postpartum? I loved how she talked about that.
No, I'm glad that she talked about it and kind of like shined a light on it, because when you are postpartum, there's already, without postpartum, there's the hormones, the natural hormones that come, and the natural things that happen in your body. And then postpartum is just like an intensified by however much it affects you version of that. And it's, it can affect everyone differently, but I guess I just feel like you have to, it's almost like her going to the ER for like a gunshot wound, and we're just like flirting all willy-nilly on the side, like, hey guys, like I need help.
Hey,
you know what I mean? Like your mental health can lead you down a path that's not great. It's physical versus mental, but you still need to fix it. Like, can we focus on me for a little bit first before you go off all willy-nilly with it? Whatever.
Well, I think the part that I loved her shining light on is that this was a doctor who was a woman. She herself had not had a child, but still, you would potentially assume that she would have a better understanding of what a woman goes through after giving birth. Like, that postpartum care also wasn't enough. It's not so much even that the people that aren't doctors don't appreciate it. It's that her actual medical professional wasn't trained in a way that recognized how much she was really potentially going through. So it does sound like there's more to be done in that department as far as training doctors. And I really want people to weigh in on that, their own experience, if they're comfortable, if they're
same
in
I'd
medicine.
Be interested in knowing.
I'm also curious, do you think that the consequence for Dr. Bass was sufficient? What would you have done? I'm curious what people will say.
Me too. And I guess I want to know what our listeners think and what our audience thinks about is, do you think that having a child in a same-sex relationship has the same, like the same thing happens, but let's say Sarah's a dude. Do you think it's the same, or do you think there are differences? Like, what's your experience if you're in a same-sex relationship?
What do you mean? Like differences in terms of custody, or just like feelings?
Well, feelings, yeah, but also custody. Like if she says, hey, I'm not the biological like parent, but you've been here since the beginning. So like if a guy comes into a woman's life and they decide how, in whatever way, that she's going to get pregnant, but it's not going to be his baby.
I think the best way to think about this is like if a guy didn't have the ability to have children, and you use a donor and you just do,
and he says, that's not mine.
Yeah. It's like, but it is, because it is.
And so I
wouldn't have done this without you.
Or do you feel like, no, it's two women, so it's totally different because they're wired differently and they're more emotional? Like I guess I see it as like, this is your partner, regardless of who it is. This is your partner that, is trying to do this with you. So I was just curious.
No, I think that's a good question. And I think you're right. I mean, I don't want to jump into the argument, but I'm sure people would say, well, they're more emotional. It's different. And I'm like, that doesn't affect the fact that they're still in a relationship and like having a kid and going through a process. Like, people are different. Everybody has different personalities, and like personality doesn't, to me, change the commitment that you made.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like, I know a lot of shitty straight people that we maybe have talked about before on this podcast that certainly didn't navigate it well. We've heard one or two.
Yeah, this was a very interesting story. So you guys let us know what you think and keep the conversation going on social media. Let us know your thoughts and feelings. And if you have any positive insight for our guest Jade. We
Yeah,
will relay,
support.
we will relay that to her.
He's
And
a
also,
sweetie.
if you haven't joined the Patreon yet, join the Patreon because we like to do updates there too. So join the Patreon. And as always, if you write in your story to our email, investigate@thedatingdetectivespodcast.com, we would love to hear your story and your experience with dogfish.
Yeah. Also, if it's not like a full episode type story, but maybe you have a story about a doctor who
Send it anyway.
It wasn't romantic, but they were still betraying you somehow. Like we might talk about that on Patreon. We do episodes there, which are email submissions that might not be exactly the same topic, but still worth discussing.
Someone's going to relate to this story. I want to hear it.
Also, if you have a beautiful, ridiculous love story that you want to share with me, or a palate cleanser, I'll take that too.
We love
Seriously. Love.
Thank you guys for listening. And again, thank you for sharing on our social media. Join the Patreon. And as always,
trust your femtuition.